Now we go to the next section, the health of the next generation, the health of our children. I'd like to know if what we feed them now affect their health later on when they are adults, because as parents, we are the ones responsible for it. We welcome Dr. Ellis Jayachandran Vivian, MBBS D Ortho from CMC Vellore, FRA CGP. He has a scope certification from the World Obesity Federation. He's a member of ANZOS, the Australian New Zealand Obesity Society. He was an observer of Dr. Jason Fung in his clinic in the reversal of diabetes and management of obesity. Welcome, Dr. Vivian. We are happy to have you for this interview.
It's a pleasure, Tina. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let me go straight to the questions. I'd like to know if what we feed them now affect their health later on when they are adults, because as parents, we are the ones responsible for it.
Yes, Tina, definitely. That's, one of the most worrying and frightening and concerning things is the increase of obesity among children worldwide. One thing to note here is childhood obesity is directly related to adult obesity. So a child who's obese is likely to become an obese adult. One of the main causes for increased obesity is the increase of refined carbohydrate kids have these days. It is directly proportional to the rate of obesity. Moreover, COVID has reduced the children's physical activity in school grounds and, lockdowns and, restricting them to the home, reduced exposure to sunlight, video games. It's all a very unhealthy combination for a child. Children should spend more time playing. Physical activities have a huge impact on their metabolism. Reducing the processed food, avoiding sugar and sugary products like fruit juice, biscuits, unnecessary snacking. Portion sizes nowadays are so huge. When I was a kid, when I had, a soft drink or something, I clearly remember the size of the bottle. It was only 200 milliliters. Then when I was in med school, it became 250. Then it became 300. Then it became 500. Now you go to a cinema or a shopping mall, you get drinks that are this big, 600 to 700 ml of sugar-laden drinks. And when you take fruit juices, the amount of fresh fruit that is needed to make a 500 ml jar of, say, orange juices, you at least need 15 to 20 oranges. And no child would eat 15 to 20 oranges as a snack. These are all problems that our children face now. So we have to reduce the sugar intake, reduce refined carbohydrates, increase the protein and good fat, eat whole foods, good foods, real foods, not processed foods. It's better that the foods are home cooked, spending time playing and increasing their physical activities. These will go a long way in these kids to set them up for a future of good metabolic health.
Okay. Nowadays, the proportion of overweight children to what was there 40 years ago or so is very different. We come across many more overweight children than we did when we were children. For example, in my class, say of 50 students, maybe 4 or 5 children were overweight. But now in a class of 50, at least around 25 children are overweight. We just see more overweight children in public places. We come across more overweight children. And even children seem to have acanthosis nigricans and, they're just visibly fat. They're not able to play, like they're not able to join a football team in their school and they're not able to play physically. They're not able to have much physical activity. So in the case of such children who are already sick, would a regimen leaning more towards health CHF be helpful for them to become healthier? What would you suggest?
Look, kids are so active that they do not follow a very strict LCHF diet like the adults. In saying that, change of food will definitely reverse the problem now and set them up for a good future. Kids, they are not the ones who go shopping and buy the food. It's the parents who do the shopping. So the parents should be conscious of what they should buy and stock the pantry for what the kids need to eat. The kids only eat what is available. They just go and open the pantry and then they just put in their hand and get out what is there. So I think the responsibility of making healthy food choices rests with the parents, not only with the children. So it's very important to educate, especially with the food ingredients. And then along with that input, the kids can then be empowered to make healthy food choices. And it is very optimal for a child to visit their GP once a year to do measurements, abdominal girth, their height, the waist to height ratio. It is better to assess the problem in their earlier stages, better earlier rather than later, because any intervention later could reverse your metabolic health, but the psychological side effects from obesity for the kids is also very real. We do not want to stigmatize our kids, but society will do it sooner or later at some point of time. And they may not be able to participate in sports. They may not be able to get into a jumping castle, or so there may be weight limits on certain rides and many things where their weight may not allow them to participate in certain activities. And they are going to be upset then. We rather address this problem earlier, so they are not put in a place where they get excluded because of obesity and overweight in their later years. When we talk about kids and kids' obesity, it is not about ostracizing or shaming people. It is just an intervention to make them healthier.
Obesity is not an appearance issue. It's a health issue. So we have to, as parents, think about, how we can better the health of our child instead of taking it as an identity issue and getting affronted. We then, we say, okay, my child is overweight. This is going to affect my child's health in the future. How can I correct it now, so that they can have a healthier future and live better lives as adults and live longer and live healthier. And what we feed them now affects their future. Anyway, okay, so let's move on to the next section. This is for elderly people. So how about elderly people? How about senior citizens? I've observed two kinds of mindsets when it comes to elderly people. Those who don't want to change and those who don't know that they can change.